Hello, my name is Haley Colburn. I'm the photographer and art director behind 117 Productions. I've been a photographer for 6 years, and today I want to show you how I edit and skin retouch in Adobe Lightroom Classic. So I'm going to be editing a photo shoot that I did earlier this year. In the spring, I did a creative with the makeup artist, hairstylist, and the model. And I've already edited those photos, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to edit them again just to see how my editing style has changed over the past few months. And I also want to show you how easy it is to edit skin on Lightroom and that you don't always need to be editing on Photoshop. So let's move on to the computer and start editing. Hello. Okay, so this is the photo that I'm going to be editing today. This is from a session that I did early spring 2024, and my model Zoe here, makeup artist, did a really good job in getting the look that I wanted. So as you can see, I underexposed. You can see the highlights from the makeup, and that's kind of the core of the image, is her face and the makeup look. So before I do anything, the first thing I want to do is just crop the image into the shape that I want it. Most likely it will be for Instagram. So I just want to focus on her face. Her knee and her hand are showing up there, but I don't really care too much about that. I just keep her face as like the focus here. Okay, so next I'm just going to work on brightening the photo a little bit. So first, going with the exposure, the shadows, the whites, and the highlights. And I don't want it to be too bright, but I obviously want us to see the details. And afterwards, I'm going to go in and do the background separately and also do the model separately. The thing I really like about this photo shoot is the lighting setup that I had. As you can see, you can't really see any catch light in her eye because the light was really high above and we were shooting kind of low. She was sitting down here. So this was just like a lighting style that I was experimenting with. And I do really like this. It's quite different when you don't see the catch light in the model's eyes, but there are studio lights being used here. Okay, so those are my adjustments to start. Now I'm going to go ahead and select the background. I kind of like that the background is a little bit lighter in comparison to the model, so I kind of want to keep that, but I do also want there to be a little bit of color, so I don't want it to be stark white, but it's kind of looking a little bit purple bluey, and I do like that, so I want to keep that and maybe even enhance that a little bit more. So I just went in and I adjusted the subject quite a bit just to make sure that her skin is not looking too dark, but also not too light. I like the separation between the model and the background. So I did adjust her skin a little bit here. And now I want to go in and adjust the makeup. I want her eyeshadow, blush, and highlight to be popping. So I'm going to go closer, and I'm going to select the brush tool. And now make sure it's selected the subject, the brush tool, and I want to go over the eyeshadow only, one eye to start, and I just want to make sure that the mask overlay is on, the color overlay, just so that you can be sure exactly of where you're coloring in. Okay, and once that's all selected, I'm gonna go and play a little bit with the highlights, the whites, and the shadows. So I want it to give a metallic feel. When I do the before and after, we'll have an idea of like how different it affects the overall image as well. Okay, so just a quick before and after of this one eye. Okay, so we've gone over the second eye, the before and after. I do want to clean up a little bit, to be honest. And easy to clean up, you just do the subtraction brush tool and you just wipe up wherever you want to clean up. Wherever you went a little bit too far. It's very simple. Okay, now I'm going to zoom out, and then we'll have another idea of the before and after and how it affected the overall image. So it's giving more metallic-y silver, which is perfect. And now I'm going to go on to the blush. I want it to show, but I don't want it to be like too crazy. So we can even do the before and after of this. Right, it's quite subtle. Before and after. Nice. Okay, so that's how I would do the makeup enhancements in Lightroom. Next is the skin retouching. So as somebody who, I do know how to edit in Photoshop, but sometimes I don't want to open Photoshop and I want everything to be done here in Lightroom. So I'm going to show you how I usually skin retouch in Lightroom, which starts off with the healing tool. So I'm pretty sure people know this already, but yeah, the healing tool removes what you want to remove by selecting another area and copying it in that space. So using the healing tool, I'm going to zoom in maybe about 200%. It's good. And I'm going to just go in and I'm going to start selecting all the little spots that I don't want to be in the final images. And you also just want to be careful about where the healing tool is selecting it's like gathering its selection from, because sometimes it just jumps into a random spot and it doesn't really make sense with the overall image or the area that you're selecting. So just double check where the healing tool is grabbing from. Okay, so I've gone through and I have done a few retouching by removing the blemishes that I don't want to be there. I've gone around a few times and now as I zoom out I can see like little areas that I still want to kind of remove some blemishes. Also, as I zoom out, it's good for me to have an idea of the big picture. Like, it's easy to get caught up in doing the small edits, and then when you zoom out you're just like, whoa, like I missed this whole area, or it's just hard to see everything when you're always zoomed in. So I would say don't forget to zoom out and have a look at the big picture, and that also helps you to understand areas that you want to adjust even further. So now, looking at the big picture, I think the skin looks great. We can do a little bit before and after. It's probably hard to see the details when you're zoomed out this far, but even if we go in like about 100% and do the before and after, yeah, it's just little things here and there that I wanted to remove just to clean up the image a little bit more. Now, one thing that I just noticed now that I'm zoomed out is the line right here by the mouth and the line right here by the nose. And so overall the image looks great. I just want to remove these dark areas, and I'm gonna go ahead and use the healing tool once again to remove those and then show you the before and after again. Okay, so there I've gone through, removed those lines that I didn't really like too much on the side of her mouth and nose, and let's look at the before and after again. Before and after. So that just added to the clean look of the skin that I wanted to achieve. Okay, so typically I would end here. This is just a creative, it's not for a client or anything, so this is just for practice, and also as I mentioned before, it was for lighting experimentation, but I want to do something a little bit different and go into color grading. So I would say color grading is something that I don't usually play with, especially again for client work, but it's a creative and I can do whatever I want. So let's go into color grading a little bit, and I want to just play around and see what the colors do to the image. So now let's have a look at the before and after of the whole image. This before, this is after. Honestly, as I mentioned before, I usually wouldn't adjust with the color grading too much, but it does give a bit of an interesting look. Depending on how I feel too, I might go in and just add some add or remove some texture depending on the vibes I'm going for, or how smooth I want the skin to look. I do want it to look a little bit more smooth, so I'll just do about -7 for texture, and clarity I'll probably do like about like -5, maybe -4. Yeah. And again, like, adding all these details, sharpening, color, all that could be played with more depending on the style that you like and what you want to do. Even adding grain and whatnot, it would look really cool. Don't be afraid of grain. It gives a cool effect. I even like this. This is pretty cool. Maybe I'll go grain a little bit less. Yeah, so especially when you're doing creatives, like, don't be afraid to play with settings that you don't usually play with. And for me too, this is exactly what I did. Like, as you can see, this image is obviously what I just did, but if I compare it to an image that I edited previously, this image, I absolutely love this image here. I haven't posted it online yet, but you can see the complete different vibe it's giving. Like, the color is a little bit different. I still went with a bright background, and I tried to make the model a little bit brighter, not too much though, but yeah, you can see the difference in the color, the skin tones. It's not really exactly what I was going for when I initially did the edit on this image. So yeah, it's good to play around to see, how your editing style has changed. And especially if you're doing a creative, then there's no problem in going back and doing some fun edits just to play around. And I hope that, photographers, as they learn and edit, that they can realize how much potential there is in Lightroom. You don't always have to go into Photoshop, but thankfully the AI tools are quite advanced and they've perfected it a lot. So yeah, even in Lightroom, you can retouch the skin. You can make it look clean. Unless you have an action that makes things go faster, Photoshop takes a long time. And if you're doing a creative and you're just trying to practice and play around, you don't really want to spend too much time trying to edit these photos, especially when you have a lot of selections that you really like. So this is just a quick way to show you, how I would edit this photo, and also to show you that Lightroom has a lot of potential. You can do a lot in Lightroom, and I hope that you will practice and become even more proficient in your Lightroom editing. So the creative process is different for everyone, but that's how I would go about editing a photo from a creative. It's a fun way to practice and try new things in the editing software. But I'm curious to know, what kind of editing software do you like? I know Lightroom and Adobe is kind of like the go-to, but what other ones are out there that are professional that photographers should try their hand at? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.